they officially announced that the new region Caris, which is based in France.
Right, there you go then, Eric. That should be a selling point for you.
Yeah, we don't get a Pokemon world. There's no Pokemon world based on Britain.
Come to France. Oh wait, I forgot. Don't come to France.
In fairness, you'd probably have like a Crumpet Pokemon or a Top Hat Pokemon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gamesforum podcast. I am your humble host, Rawgazin. With me this week is my ever so Frenchy editor, Deus.
Hey guys.
Hello. With us this week is not one but two new members to this podcast. Number one is a very new member and personal friend of mine, Mr. Ghosty.
Hello.
And the second one, newly added journalist, INTY.
Hi.
All right. Before we start, congratulations to you, Deus and INTY, for becoming journalists.
Ah, thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah. Maybe we'll actually get some good reviews out now. Like,
In fairness, I've seen good reviews before us.
Oh yeah. It's not. Yeah, but that's the thing. Before you, there was quite a gap between there. Like, I'm not really doing many reviews nowadays because I was with this group called 2 Cents. I was working for free, and they said do it whenever you like. But obviously, they told me that about 2 months ago now. So I haven't written a review for them since. So I should probably I should probably get back to them on that. But
you just need a game that interests you.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
Gives you some strong opinions about it.
But no.
That's why I write reviews so much, because I'm extremely opinionated, so I can pretty much just form an opinion about anything.
You really need to be opinionated when it comes to reviewing in general, because if you just say, oh, this is this and that is that, you end up just sounding like the you sound like the instructions manual for the game. That's the thing. If you don't have an opinion and you write a review, you just sound like you're the instructions booklet.
Press A to jump. Press E to crouch.
I miss the manuals for games. They're like also like 2 pages now. I remember back ages ago, you'd buy the game and you'd open it and you'd read the manual on the way home, because it would be that big enough to just read it. I mean, the Gears of War 2 one, for example, that had everything about the characters, the guns, and maps, history. You could spend ages just reading it.
I agree with you. I really missed that about those instruction manuals when they'd talk about the characters and all the stuff in game, because for some reason I like bestiaries, like lists of characters and things like that. So that is something I miss in manuals. You don't see them enough anymore.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, there's games like Injustice which don't even have an instructions booklet now, because the only
manual is the cover.
Really?
No, they don't have an instructions manual because the only thing was like the health and safety thing. So what they did is they put that in the cover, like the back of the cover.
Yeah, it's the other side of the cover when you open the box. If you look on the inside cover, it's the instruction manual pretty much.
Yeah, there is no instructions to it.
And then I just look at the 2 little hooks on the inside of the box and think they should look so lonely.
Yeah.
That's the worst one I've actually seen. The usual one is like 2 pages. That's about it, 2 to 4 pages. Then you get the Injustice one with no pages. It's just used on the cover.
That is actually quite sad.
Yeah.
I can sympathise with you on that, Ghosty.
All right. So, what have we been playing this week? What have we been playing? Why don't you start, INTY?
Sure. No need to mention RuneScape. I'm always playing that, so I'll just brush over that. And the other one, TF2, of course, and of course, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. I've been playing that on and off lately, pretty much late at night, because it's just easier for me to manage to get a hold of some game time late at night. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what's been occupying my time.
Yeah, I got Blood Dragon. I haven't played much of it, but I'm enjoying it so far.
If I were to give you a recommendation, don't make the mistake I've made. I don't get a lot of sleep, so I'll often find myself making stupid decisions when I'm tired. For some reason, I decided to go after all the garrisons in the game. That's like the bases you can take over. And I just did that over and over and over again in a chain. And right now I'm finding myself without much motivation to get back to it. So when I eventually do, I'm thinking I'm just going to go straight for the story. Don't do that. Don't do what I did.
Yeah.
As I say, tired, stupid mistake. I make a lot of them when I'm tired.
Any interesting stories about Blood Dragon you want to say?
About Blood Dragon. I've got to say that game's just an interesting enigma in itself. There are all sorts of things you can talk about with that one, like the themes, the humour, just the presentation in general. I wouldn't know where to begin, just with how much I appreciate it. Hannah appreciates it more than me because she's a little bit more. She's been raised with those films that are themed around it. You know, like stuff like Terminator. I'm okay with Terminator, but I don't love it as much as say Hannah does.
Yeah.
And even still, I can appreciate just how turned up to 11 that game is.
Yeah. Totally agree with you there.
So if I were to talk about one story with Far Cry, I'd pretty much... Oh, sorry, Blood Dragon. I'd pretty much have to talk about my entire playthrough because it's all just been so interesting.
Yeah. All right.
On the flip side to that, though, I find Blood Dragon boring, and I don't like it.
That's fair enough.
What's that?
I don't know. I've always been into like new style and new things and things like that, and then having a game, especially the cutscenes, going back to that old style. I get the retro and I get the nostalgia to people, but it's just really not for me. It's really not for me, and it just turns me off straight away.
It's not your nostalgia. Like
no.
Like you were obviously born in a different generation to people that would appreciate this game. Well, so am I, to be fair. But
so am I.
Yeah, but I love the 80s anyway. I love cartoons like He-Man and Thundercats and Mask and all these
Yeah,
like,
I
really
never used to watch things like that. I used to watch Power Rangers.
Yeah, I never really watched them either. I still really like watching them though.
I used to watch Timothy Goes to School, Fillmore, Recess, Codename Kids Next Door, all that weird stuff.
I mean, my childhood was pretty much reruns of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon.
Didn't watch much of that one.
The best kiddies one I watched was Roly Poly. Maybe not the best, but I remember that the most.
I think my favourite kids' cartoon from my childhood, as you can understand, judging by my usual furious rage, Tom and Jerry.
Oh yeah.
That one raised me quite...
Nothing beats Tom and Jerry.
Needs?
Beats.
No, that's not true. Jerry beats Tom every episode.
Oh, I get it.
There's a exploiter word.
All right. Mr. Ghosty, what have you been playing this week?
Okay, I've been playing a little bit of Far Cry Blood Dragon, as you said. But other than that, I've been quite disappointing, if I'm honest. I've been sucked into the swirling vortex pit of black wholeness, which is Black Ops 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't speak. I can't speak.
I've just been sucked into that. It's mainly the zombies mode which gets me, but I have been playing multiplayer, and I'm not even going to go into it because people hate it. So
there are people on the forum who like it.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to go find those people.
I like it. It's nothing special, but I like it. I mean, obviously I do because I put 300 hours into it, apparently, according to Rapture.
Oh, wow.
And
And
most of
I
that,
thought I was bad.
most of that was between when it came out and Christmas. Since Christmas, I haven't really played it. I've only played it on double XP events, so I can get to Master. As soon as I get to Master, I'm just dropping it, which I'm like 2 prestiges away, so one more double XP event, which was actually last weekend that just
Yep.
passed. I didn't play it, so I'm still like 8th prestige, so yeah. But come next one, I will actually like button down and get to Master so I can forget about the game.
Yeah, it's bad. I play it far too much.
It's bad, but it's the addicting bad.
Yes,
The problem.
very much so.
Oh, don't worry, when Call of Duty Ghosts comes out, you can just bitch about that instead and then never...
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to that. Not the online, because the online, obviously, 9 times out of 10 is going to be the same. But I'm actually interested about the story now. It just how they plan on... Because Black Ops 2 was like Black Ops following on from Black Ops 1. Modern Warfare series has been all the Call of Duties. Now that they're actually bringing out a new story, it's actually got me interested again because it's not just sequels anymore.
Yeah.
It did look like a fairly interesting scenario, actually. I remember, Ghosty, I feel strongly about the Black Ops series, but I don't hate it. I just think, I don't mind it. I think it's okay. But Call of Duty, it's that issue of, a lot of people feel this way, that it's very reiterative, it doesn't change much. So when I saw...
But it really doesn't, no.
Yeah. So when I saw what Black Ops 2 was doing with its storyline, how it was actually taking itself to a future-based
new
scenario.
choices, and you had multiple choices in the game.
And multiple choices. That's interesting.
But again, the best shooter for me personally was Spec Ops: The Line. Not because of gameplay, but
story.
you had 4 different endings. There were 3 different endings rather, and each ending was like really good. And then you had stories in the game that would basically, for example, you had the choice of whether to walk through a refugee camp and shoot them all, or walk through a refugee camp and let them live because your teammate had died in that refugee camp and the refugee's done nothing about it. So you can either show your fury by shooting them all, or just walk through. On another one, you accidentally mortar civilians, and it gets pretty bad.
Oh, accidentally.
Yeah, because you see enemies running in there and you don't realise. You have the choice on whether to run in there or mortar it. And depending on what you don't know, so basically if you mortar it just to take the easy way out, which you normally do on the hardest difficulty, it kills all the civilians. And then it also has the chance of whether you want to go into fights or not. You can sneak around it and all that, which is it's good. It's different.
I have heard everything I've heard of Spec Ops: The Line. It had impressed me, but at the time when it was out, I was well aware that the game was apparently very depressing a lot of the time. It was very dark. It was very...
It is, especially the ending. I bought it when it first came out, and I'd say it's not worth its full price for the simple reason the online's not even worth the play. Which obviously makes it not worth £35. Now that it's went down a lot in price, it is definitely worth it, just for the story mode itself.
It's just at the time I wasn't particularly looking for a sort of experience that would, be depressing, be uncomfortable, etc.
Yeah, it is pretty. It starts off okay, but then after about halfway through the game. When you get halfway through the game, it's basically your teammates start questioning you, and there's I'm not going to say it,
No spoilers.
Yeah, because I know Vest guy, I think, is the one that plans on playing it. But the ending, you find out why everyone's went crazy, and you're just like, oh, and it is pretty depressing. Like after the first half, the game just goes from all right, and it falls sharply into the depressing area.
Yeah.
But,
I just didn't want that at the time.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want something depressing, yeah, the game's definitely not the best of games to play.
I'd much rather play Mario, God.
My Little Pony.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Mario's pretty annual nowadays. Like Call of Duty or Madden, Mario's at least appeared one game per year now.
That's true, actually. That is true.
And they're equally as stale, to be honest. After you've played one Mario game, you've pretty much played them all at this point.
The
Well,
only... Go
at
on.
least in a different series. Like, it's what I've noticed with Mario is, of course, it has different series, like the kart one, the Super Mario Galaxy. Of course, the more traditional Mario games. They're a different series, and they're different, but
yeah,
every
different.
series,
But in their own series themselves, it's still the same.
yeah,
Like,
they've got about 11 games in every series, and they're very much the same.
And Call of Duty is just
I mean,
overrated. That's why it's got so much hate.
That's the thing. Like, there was a point where these franchises weren't like this, or there was a point where they
Call of
took
Duty
their time
4
with everything.
Call of Duty 4 World at War. After that, that's when it slowly Call of Duty became, because like from Call of Duty 4 was the best because that's when they first applied the changes like customize your class, add perks, and all that camos. That's when that was basically the best Call of Duty because that's when they first invented it. Basically, all the new changes because Call of Duty 3 was here's your gun, here's what you've got, you can't change it. Then Call of Duty 4 let you changed all about, so did World at War. Then Modern Warfare 2 came out and it was alright. Then after that it just became the usual with changing the guns, the maps. But even with the maps you could see how they'd recycled some of them. And like for DLC in Black Ops, they used a map from World at War and okay, sure, remastering the map is fine. But when the map's crap, then why bother? It's just they're being lazy. I mean, in Black Ops 2, they've remastered 1 so far, which is Firing Range, which is good. Everyone liked it, so it's a good map to remaster and put in and change. But they basically turned one map into a golf course in Black Ops, and it was just shit. Yeah, it was basically a golf course version of a map from the previous game. And it was just like, what's the point?
It was a golf map physically, or you actually played golf?
Oh no, you didn't play golf. You were literally running. You were literally just running across a golf course shooting people.
Okay, understood. I'm assuming there were
we're going a little bit off the segment a little bit, but sorry, go on.
Like where were we? Black Ops, Mario, Iteration. Oh, Spec Ops. Arek, you two are playing Black Ops at the minute. That's right.
I'm not right now I tried it for the double XP event, but I just got bored of it. Right now I've been playing Skyrim.
You did say you'd started that again.
I've been really, I've tried it twice now. The first time around I got turned into a vampire and I didn't realise until it was too late, so I gave up. Because you can't do jack shit as a vampire, it's annoying. You keep getting attacked, so I was getting pissed off, so I stopped playing. Second time around, and this is what I'm really bad with open world games and like where you're meant to explore. I didn't explore. I didn't do any of the side missions. I didn't do any of the guilds or anything. And I was level 11 and near the end of the game, and I couldn't defeat any of the. I literally came on the forum like, I'm level 11 and I think I'm about to fight Aldrin. Is it normal? And they were just like, no, and I was like, oh, that's probably why every dragon's killing me now, so I haven't played it since then, and I've turned it into there, I've restarted it, and I actually am sticking to exploring and going to do the guilds instead of just go straight to the end of the game and come across the same problem.
That's a surprise, really, because you play, I'm assuming you play in this manner Borderlands. You play Borderlands, and that game is very much strict with how you're supposed to approach it in terms of, like, the side missions. If you don't do the side missions, you're going to be very underleveled for the main ones, aren't you?
Yeah, and I mean... Yeah. I guess in a sense it's because these side missions are right out there, if you get what I mean, in Borderlands. They're out there more than Skyrim, in a sense. Skyrim, they're in a menu, if you get what I mean. So you have to go into that menu and have a look. With Borderlands, you've got question marks everywhere, like exclamation marks rather, on the map. So you go up and you do them. In Skyrim, they're not hidden, but they're just less. I personally think they're less compared to Borderlands. So you basically, the only ones that really keep popping up is the main quest, unless you go into the quest menu and change. So I just continued with the main ones.
It's just a Frenchman being lazy. All right.
Yeah, pretty much, because that's my problem with game. Probably the fact is I'm not much of a fan of Skyrim, so I was just playing the main story because that's all I was really interested in. With Borderlands 2, I love Borderlands 2, and
You would
pretty
call that
much
game.
everyone pretty much knows that by now.
Yeah.
And I loved going through doing all of it, except for having to redo all my challenges. I will never mention that again because my save corrupted, like the challenges corrupted rather, and I had done most of them. I was lucky I had not found Jimmy Jenkins on that save because I would have been pissed if I had found Jimmy Jenkins and then then to find out that challenge didn't unlock. So I went onto a character because I started off with the commando, and then as soon as the mech come out, I changed to the mech and just got the mech to 50. So luckily I had a backup character, so I went to the commando, finished all the challenges, which probably took about 5 hours, and then I spent probably about 16 hours looking for Jimmy Jenkins, and then Soul found him and was like, "Come on, get in my game and we'll kill him."
Oh.
Your mic's gone a bit. Your mic went a bit funny there.
Oh, what did it?
Yeah, all right. Some foul spirit just possessed your microphone.
Whoops. But yeah,
Could you hear him fine then, Ghost?
No.
No, it just went absolutely. You sounded like I don't know. You might just went nuts.
oh, okay.
Exorcise the demons.
But yeah, Soul invited me into his game, and I was just like, "Oh, all right, if you really don't mind me," because it takes ages to find Jimmy Jenkins.
I remember
so
that.
yeah, so
that was really good of him.
yeah. So, and I was a bit like, you do realise though it's going to take you ages to probably find him again. So he was like, yeah, don't worry about it, because he wasn't really going for the achievements yet. He was still playing through it, so he just let me. But then 2 boxes later, I found another Jimmy Jenkins, and he got Jimmy Jenkins as well.
Wow, that's perfect.
And ever since I found Jimmy Jenkins pops up. Yeah, I said that wrong. Pops up a lot.
Now that wasn't the microphone, that was human error.
Yeah, God damn it! Shh! It was the mic. It was the mic. But yeah, basically I've been playing Skyrim, and I should start there because I could go on forever. So what have you been playing, Raw?
There's not a specific one trail topic you could talk about with Skyrim, just considering the huge open world nature.
Exactly. And as you can see, it led on to Borderlands 2.
Wide as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Oh, I like you, Ghost.
Words of wisdom.
This week for me, it's been very samey this week. Obviously, I have 3 games I constantly play each week. So
by any chance, are they fighting games?
One of them is. I've been playing more WoW this week. I got a new character. I made a Death Knight the other day. I've just mainly been doing dungeons with him. It's fun, but it was really annoying at one stage because obviously if you're doing dungeons, you keep randomly popping in different dungeons. Obviously to reap rewards and all this and that. But for like maybe 4 hours, I was doing the exact same dungeons over and over again. Like 2 dungeons in particular, like the Mana Tombs and the Orchenai Crypts. I was just doing those 2 for like 4 hours, and I was like, I want to do something else now.
When it gets a bit of loot.
Having not played WoW, I can't exactly sympathise with that. I don't understand.
Well,
I very much can.
Imagine literally doing the same, like, say, alright, well, related to Skyrim, say, you are told to go to one area to get something, then you come back, then he tells you to go to another area, get something there, then
I know the feeling.
Then rinse and repeat, just those 2 areas, though.
Yeah,
nowhere else, just 2 areas doing the exact same thing.
That happened in Borderlands 1 when you couldn't fast travel to different areas of the map at points. It was just yeah.
I was just about to mention Borderlands about that.
Yeah, the first Borderlands was just normally always that, go to this part, that part, this part, that part.
Yeah, it was very padded.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of the games I've been playing this week. The other game I've been
Wasn't
trying...
padded now, was it?
I've been trying to play more Sonic and All Stars Racing Transform. I love that game, but it's just littered with bugs. Like there's this really annoying bug that after you've done an online race, for some reason the game freezes. So you have to turn off the console, then turn it back on, then 100 points have been taken off your ranked license because apparently you disconnected.
What, this is 100% guaranteed after every race?
Not 100% guaranteed, but if it just happens at the right time, then you lose points.
Oh, right.
It's really annoying when you've had a really bad race that round and lost points then to find out your game freezes and you've lost even more points.
I've actually never approved of that sort of leveling system in online games where it takes points from you for leaving, because, yeah, there's, of course, the issue of disconnecting. Yeah. But it also tries to pressurize you, like, what if you're genuinely not enjoying your time on the game?
Yeah.
Like, why lock them into that?
Exactly. And it's annoying
if it's like a game like, I think Soul Calibur had a similar system. I'm not too sure. But if it was just a person who was kicking my butt, I'd just put the controller down and just let him win. I just could not be bothered.
That's fair enough. If it's putting you into that situation, what would you rather do? Would you rather leave or just sit there and take it?
I'll just sit there, take the loss instead of having points taken off me.
That's fair enough.
You'd be the worst in professional fighting games. This guy's beat me. I'm not playing no more.
And he's out of the tournament.
Like, that would be, like, the worst final ever. Like, it's bad enough in fighting games these days where people just decide to part split, where, basically they know that, there's prize money and they're willing to split it either way, whoever wins or loses. That's bad enough. But imagine if someone was just like, nope, don't want to play anymore.
That would be me.
I'm still getting money.
That would be me.
But yeah, that's the other game I've been playing this week. I really hope that game gets fixed, because I do really like Sonic Transformed. It's just broken, essentially. The last game I've been playing, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Again, I think every time I'm on this podcast, I at least mention PlayStation All-Stars once. It's like the law with me here.
Okay, you're done now. Move on.
No. But this time I have a pretty good story to tell. This time,
damn.
The PlayStation All Stars Online is based on 3 different game types. Like there's the timed mode where you've got to kill as many people in a certain time limit. There's a stock mode where everyone has a certain amount of lives, and then there's a kill mode where you have to get a certain amount of kills. I decided to do a stock match this time, because I've been doing a lot of timed ones, which is like the main one that you can do. The other 2 are just kind of like side ones. I've been doing a lot of stock mode, and it gets insane with that, because getting supers is so crucial in the game. Like the only way you get kills is beating up people to gain meter, and then using that meter to kill people with it. And you've got to really do your strategy right. So, like, the super can get to level 1, 2, or 3, obviously each one being a lot more devastating as it goes upwards. Basically, this match was between me. I was playing as Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal. There was Emmett. There was an Emmett Graves player, which Emmett Graves is from this game called Starhawk. There was a Prappa the Rapper player. And I can't remember the last one. I think it was Isaac from Dead Space.
I used to play that Papa the Rapper PS1 game a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think that was the case. But in a stock mode, it was just fantastic. Like I was dodging every super they got me, because you only have 3 lives, and then once those 3 lives, you're completely out. And I was just getting loads of kills with level 1s. This Emmett Graves player, he was aiming for a level 3, and you could tell because he was just timing it perfectly and everything. Like and every time that, because Emmett is a very keep away player, so meaning he'll just run away to the corner of the screen and fire rocket launchers and whatnot.
Right.
He was doing that, so he was on the verge of getting level 3, and but as the match was going on, I was trying to aim for him. I got 2 of his lives down. He then shot a rocket. He hit the Parappa player, and then then you can just hear the announcer just go level 3, and then I instantly used my super on his last life, grabbed him, and then threw him away, and he was out of the game.
Ow.
And and the massive scream from his microphone was
I was gonna say.
so...
I was gonna say,
damn,
dick move.
It was a great match. I fucking loved it. That was the thing. And because Sweet Tooth's level 1, what Sweet Tooth does, he straps dynamite to the person, then throws them away, and then whoever gets caught in the blast radius gets killed with them. I got the Parappa player as well.
Oh well, you're just winning in every respect that game, eh?
Oh, it's a fantastic game.
I'd say dick move, but it worked out so well for you.
Mhm.
It's hard to not appreciate it.
Yeah, and being that Emmett Graves level 3 is possibly one of the best in the game, because what it does, he gets into this mech suit which fires like loads of laser beams around, fires air traps, and it can stomp on people. And then right at the end, it flies off screen, flies back on, and just carpet bombs the entire stage.
So it's a good thing you prevented that.
Yeah. It would have been pretty much the entire match would have gone to him if it didn't happen.
Right.
But it was just a fantastic match. I want more matches like that, really, where it's just down to like the most crucial part and just trying to deal with it. That's why I love fighting games, especially matches like that. When like I don't know if you heard about the famous Daigo parry video.
No.
Daigo, it's this Third Strike tournament, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, where in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, there's this the parry system, where you flick forward on the control stick and you can parry whatever attack comes to them, and you get no damage off that at all. Like if you just hold back, you do block, but you still get chip damage. But if you parry, you get no damage whatsoever. And the timing on it is so crucial on it that the video was basically, it was a live final tournament between Justin Wong and Daigo Umehara, 2 very famous fighting game
Competitive players.
Competitive players. Very famous for it. And both using like quite high tier characters. And Daigo, who was playing as Ken in this, had like no health. Like next hit would have probably killed him. Justin Wong was using Chun-Li, again another high tier character. And then there's Chun-Li's super. She used it, and the super does about 15 hits. So you could imagine just this guy sitting in the corner, just constantly mashing this button away, just to prevent like one of these hits getting through. And it was just
to get them all.
He managed to get all of them, and then just to put the icing on the cake, he used his super straight afterwards and killed him. It's literally the best thing fighting games has ever come out with. It's beautiful. It's actually beautiful. Like even if you don't understand what's actually going on,
I can appreciate that.
You can appreciate how brilliant it is, and that's the reason why fighting games is one of my favorite fighting genres out there. Yeah, one of my favorite gaming genres out there. It's simply because of hype, really, and tournaments. Just with these skilled players that bring it their all. When you just can't really find that in other genres anymore.
I can understand that. Like, remember that conversation I had with you when I first joined the forum?
Oh yeah.
I didn't understand what a fighting game really was. I didn't understand that there was actually separate genres.
Yeah.
I've told you before. I regret that discussion heavily.
Yeah.
Like
I remember you told me that like sort of Streets of Rage and Final Fight were the exact same genre as Street Fighter and Tekken and all that.
I think that might have been a different person because I didn't even know about Streets of Rage back then. I only found out about that game recently.
Oh no, wait, no, I think you said it was about Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
It was Marvel versus Capcom 3.
Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Read about that.
Yeah, compared to Ultimate Alliance. Yeah.
Yeah, I compared those, God, because
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a difference. That the fighting games, that idea of what a fighting game is. I didn't know they were different genres. I just thought action games that weren't first person or third person shooters. I thought they were pretty much just the same genre, but I do know better now.
Yeah. But
I can totally admit to that was dumb.
I'll send you a link to the Daigo parry video, and you just watch it, and it blows your mind, really. It literally blows your mind how good this game can be just on one system alone. But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. I don't usually go off on tangents like that. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Oh, you will be.
How long have we gone into this recording? I want to ask.
Based on the time... Oh, I don't know, actually. I couldn't tell you.
I was talking to Eric, because he'd probably know.
Ah, okay.
Eric, you there?
Yeah, sorry about that. I turned off.
Thank
before
God.
I realised. No,
I just want to know, he responded to the whistle, but not his name. That's interesting.
Got that.
I remember when this last happened, like when your connection was really bad, me and Brad went on like this massive discussion, I believe on I can't remember it now, but we went on this massive discussion only to find out that you left about 20 minutes ago.
Well, it wasn't that long. It was about 5 minutes, but like I said, I just cut it up and put it together.
Yeah.
But anyway, what? No, because they said it later on in the podcast. So anyway, it was known that I had disconnected and I cut it up. But no, what I was saying was, I think all of us have went off on what games have we played this time. But to say how long we've been recording, we've probably been recording about 40 minutes.
Jesus, we'd be at Lootosh Quotes right now.
I'm
We
going
don't
to
even have one of those this week. That's disappointing.
It doesn't matter, having a nice long podcast once in a while.
Yeah, maybe a decent podcast every now and then.
Well, this is going to be a long, decent one by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
It has been solely game related, pretty much.
I have to ask out of curiosity, does Lootosh know about this quote thing? Is he okay with it?
He does.
Yeah.
He was actually going to be on the podcast once. He was going to be on last week's episode, but something happened with his mic or something, or he just wouldn't pick up the Skype call. I don't know what happened, really, but it would have been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we've finally done what we've been playing this week,
Hooray.
we can move on to game news. We can move on to
Okay.
a couple of bits of Dead Space news arose the last couple of weeks. There's sort of good news and pretty bad news.
Yeah.
About it. What
I
guys?
already know the bad news.
Yeah, what guys do you want to know first? What should
Give
we
me
say
the
first?
bad news, Mr. Anderson.
I'm familiar with the bad news, so go ahead. Break it to me easy.
All right. The bad news is the Dead Space 3 is the latest game to have officially failed in terms of game sales. It joins the likes of the new Tomb Raider, Hitman Absolution, Resident Evil 6, the likes of that, where it just didn't meet expectations.
Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah,
Even though that was a brilliant game, I don't...
Oh, I love that game.
I mean, the games were good. It's it's like...
It's the bloated development costs that plagues this current age of gaming.
It's like...
That's an issue.
Go on.
That's an issue with... No, it's... Oh, okay. That's an issue with game development at the minute. I think it's that right now, because of how successful gaming's been over the past few years, a few years ago anyway, they're getting their expectations dead high, but the current generation is dying at the minute. It's not doing as well. People are losing interest in gaming. They're going to other devices like the mobile devices. They're in their interest to that.
And developers themselves, it's like it seems to be you have to spend too little or too much. Like the big predominant markets these days are like the indie markets and the AAA titles. Like and Dead Space. I'm not saying it should have been an indie title because it probably would never be an indie title at that rate. But they could have done better by not going to EA with this one. Like
it was always a bit
like
it was always, sorry, no, you.
Yeah, like with EA, it's like you have to be Call of Duty big to be a successful franchise.
I mean,
them.
that's what I was going to say. If you look at lower game companies that don't do like AAA titles, to warrant for a game to warrant a sequel, they only have to sell 20,000 copies. And then you look at the big AAA titles, and they're like, oh, we've sold 3.5 million. We wanted to sell 6. Oh, that's a disappointment. It's like, but that's still a lot.
They're getting their expectations too high.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably the worst time to be doing it.
I think Tomb Raider's the worst offender of this. We have talked about this before, but I want to raise it up again. Just, around 6 million, still not beating its initial target.
Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like I don't know how many they said they wanted to sell in the first week, but it was something close to Call of Duty.
Exactly.
And the stupid thing is, yeah, Tomb Raider's a AAA title, but Call of Duty has that much of a fan base, it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed that people will go out and buy it, so their expectations are always going to be met. But then for another game company, even though it's EA, to go, oh, Tomb Raider, we want it to do nearly as good as Call of Duty, it's stupid, really. They're being, I forgot what the word is. Another word for naive, and it's not naive. I'm trying to think of this word now.
Can I put him on the timer to pressure him?
Yeah, put me on the timer.
Just
all right.
Someone put the countdown theme on.
Sure. YouTube.
No, yeah, never mind. Never mind. But yeah, Dead Space 3.
They're being ignorant.
Ignorant.
Can you say that, or am I thinking of the wrong word?
Thinking outside of their own preferences. I don't know.
Ignorant
yeah,
in a sense that,
let's just say ignorance for now. We're probably wrong, but
I was thinking in the sense that they don't know, basically. They think. Yeah, never mind. I don't think it's the right word. I spent so long trying to think of it.
I spent so long trying to find that video as well, damn you. You've disappointed everyone again, Eric.
I'm sorry.
Should we move on? Should we move on from this the bad news of the space?
Let's go to the good news.
Yeah,
well, it might not be good news to some people, but
good.
John Carpenter, the
secondary character.
No, John Carpenter, the director of The Thing and Escape from New York, wants to make a Dead Space movie.
Oh.
Dangerous territory.
That's
making a film.
I feel impartial to that, but I also feel very much uneasy about it, just because of you know the history of licensed movies, game licensed movies.
Yeah.
Do you want to know something ironic? Do you know when you asked for questions for the podcast, I was thinking about asking what do you think about movie tie-ins about games. I was going to ask that, but then I was like, no, I'll leave that out.
It's hard to really give an opinion on movie tie-in games because at Potential there's not a lot that you could really say. There is stuff you could say about why it isn't a good idea, but just intrinsically you can't say movie tie-ins are a bad idea. It's just the history of them so far.
Yeah.
They haven't turned out well. There's definitely reasons for that, but there's nothing that's definitely doomed all movie tie-in games.
Well,
Alone in the Dark was quite bad.
Alone in the Dark was terrible. In fact, most Uwe Boll films, like Uwe Boll game licensed films, the Resident Evil films, Blood Rain, I think was another one. They're mostly terrible.
Yeah,
mostly terrible. Like
I love those films. They're so fun to watch, just because of how bad they are. I actually do that. I watch things that are terrible because it makes me laugh.
Yeah. And then it's not as but one film I generally do like, despite the fact it was branded awful, was the Mortal Kombat film. Did you guys ever see that?
I've
No.
not seen it, but I've seen a sort of review on it.
What do you mean a sort of review on it?
Well, when you think it's an interesting format for review well, it was my first exposure to it. He watches. He doesn't watch it with you as he comments on it, but he actually comments on the entire thing. He doesn't just give like a sort of summary of it. He goes into all of the points of the film, like.
Do
and how
you mean the Nostalgia Critic?
That's him.
Yeah, that was years ago. But he didn't like the movie. I did, surprisingly. No. Like it does the I think it does the games justice, despite the fact that it was rated a PG-13, so all the blood and gore has been taken out. But it's still there. Like it's just what I love about the Mortal Kombat series is the fact that it just doesn't give a shit.
No,
like they've made characters that were initially errors at one point. Like there's a character Ermac in the series, which was an error code. There was a character called Ermac in the Mortal Kombat series, which he originated from an error code, and it basically made a recolor of a different character. Like I think it was a recolor of Reptile. Okay. So instead it was like a red Reptile, and he could do different.
And they just put him in.
They just made a character out of it.
All right.
It's kind of weird, but the fact that they just don't give a shit, just you want Freddy Krueger in Mortal Kombat 9, fuck it, okay, there you go.
That. I do like that about them. I know what you mean. Thought of it.
And it's happening with Injustice at the moment. I'll get onto that in a minute, but just the fact that the guys behind Injustice and Mortal Kombat just literally don't give a shit. I'll just do anything. It's like, and it's the exact same with the Mortal Kombat movie. Like, they knew it's a movie tie-in, so they just wanted to try and make it as Mortal Kombat as it can be. That's why we don't have realistic versions of Sub-Zero and Scorpion. And in the film, we actually get Sub-Zero and Scorpion, not like, say, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Did you guys ever hear about that?
Yeah. I've seen Nostalgia Critic's review for that as well. So
I think I saw that ages ago.
Yeah, like how off Mario it was altogether as a movie. But with the Mortal Kombat movie, it does stay true to itself. Somehow.
I don't know if you've ever heard of a web series, There Will Be Brawl. You may have, Brawl.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah. I thought that was bloody closer than that Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, I loved There Will Be Brawl. I loved that.
That was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess that's it for that bit of news then.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I did just want to say about that. With who's interested again?
John Carpenter, creator of The Thing and Escape from New York.
The original Thing or the new one?
I think it was the original.
The original.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like I was saying, there's not anything you can specifically tie to movie time games that always dooms them. But something that worries me with Dead Space is... Dead Space, I know a lot of people view it as a horror series, but as a horror series, it's not actually that strong. There's not a lot there that you could really say makes it a legitimate horror series. It's got some jump scares and some unsettling moments, but as a horror series, there's not much to it. If this is a legitimate horror director...
Yeah, he is a legitimate horror director.
It's somewhat like bringing some... Dead Space isn't a horror series and you're bringing a horror director to it. It's not the same thing. I understand why he's interested because people mark Dead Space as a horror series, but it's not actually that. So he might not be suited to making a legitimate Dead Space movie. It might feel too different. It might feel too much like a horror Dead Space movie.
Then he might be able to make this Dead Space suit the genre, which is a very weird way of looking at it. But he may be able to give Visceral Games and the people that are making Dead Space the right push in the right direction to make Dead Space into the horror game which we all want.
To be honest, I'm happy with Dead Space outside of it being a horror game. It would be good if it had a bit more emphasis on horror. Like the DLC that came out for Dead Space 3 recently that had an obvious stronger emphasis on horror. It had problems, but I could definitely appreciate how much more of a horror piece of content it was. So something like that would be okay. I wouldn't mind that. But the film, I'm just wondering if he'll manage to get the balance between action and horror right, or if it'll just be a straight up horror experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Is the director actually
games and films are two very different, well, not very different, but two different genres.
They are very different, right?
And crossing them over is such a difficult thing to do. And until somebody can do one film of the game right, then I don't know. It's just such a difficult thing to do.
Mainly because of condensing a game into a film or expanding a film into a game. Yeah. It's hard to do.
Because playing, especially with a horror game, you are the person getting... You're the character. Yes. You're the one who they're trying to get. And to be able to portray that in a film...
It's difficult.
It's so difficult.
I suppose with a film, it just wouldn't be you, though. It would be an entirely different experience in that regard.
Yeah. It's very, very unstable waters. It is. Yeah.
I'm not going to be closed-minded about it, but naturally I'm uncertain.
Yeah, very much so.
You never know. John Carpenter might be very very in touch with the game. That's the thing. Like, he could be such a massive fan. Like, he wants. I think he likes the idea of Dead Space so much that he would. And that's why he would have made a great movie out of it if he could. Yeah.
That's a fair point.
And also he regrets purchasing Aliens Colonial Marine, so that's saying something.
Is he an actual gamer?
I don't know, but
if you regret purchasing
I think
Aliens.
Everybody regrets buying that game.
I don't know, Debbie was defending that for quite a while.
Until the end.
Yeah. Not 100%, but you know, she was being more gentle to it than others.
Yeah, and then did you see her when she commented about the end?
Yes, I did.
It was just like everything that she was being sugarcoating nice about. She was just like, nope, the end, nope.
Yeah, it does make me smile.
The Aliens Colonial Marines controversy is something that's really fascinating, if anything. What's happened recently in the gaming news is with games like Colonial Marines and I think there was another game that recently got SimCity. Once the developer shuts up about it, there's not much you can do. That's the thing. Like, I remember when Destructoid was like having this massive news break, like getting so much news as they could on Aliens Colonial Marines, and they wanted to get responses back from developers. Like, and Randy Pitchford himself was just like flaming Destructoid for like, oh, they're literally bad. They are bad people, and they're literally just trying to give me bad press. And it's like, no, I'm giving the people the press that is real and stuff like that. And after a while, like, there's still so much Colonial Marine stuff going about, and it's still out there. And but the fact that Randy Pitchford has just shut up now, and everyone else has, and they're just showing up and hoping the problem goes away. That's the thing.
Did you know I think it was PAX West? I think it was. I don't think PAX East has happened yet. I don't know. It was either PAX East or PAX West. During the 2K games, the whole Borderlands Gearbox press conference thingy that they were doing after Borderlands, he did talk somewhat about Colonial Marines, saying they were trying to sort it out. Basically, they're bringing out loads of patches. But
that is true.
But though, have you seen the size of the patches? I mean, the size of the patches now are bigger than the actual game. I mean, the game was something like 6-7 megabytes, maybe megabytes, gigabytes rather, gigabytes rather. And then the patches are like 9 gigabytes. And if you add all the patches together, they're probably nigh on 15, 16 gigabytes of patches. So if anyone who buys the game, I feel sorry for them. when they come to do them patches, because they're going to be sat there for hours. But to defend him on a slight bit, they are basically trying to sort it out the best they can.
I would agree with you. It's a terrible game. Well, yeah, I'm going to say a terrible game that definitely had some controversial anti-consumer business practices, but that is one thing you can at least say the developers did try to make it better in ways.
Yeah, and they haven't just let it flunk, basically. They haven't just said, oh, everyone's complaining about it, let's just, basically fuck it. They haven't said that. They're actually trying to, the damage, it's too late, the damage is done, but at least they're trying to cheer some people up to a certain extent.
Somewhat recently, there was a game on Steam called, I think, Ryan Dino Beatdown, something like that. That was a game that was panned by pretty much everyone. No one liked it. And rather than trying to fix it, they actually released another game with a different name. And it was the same game. It was the exact same game with a few fixes. And that's about it. It was the exact same game. There's nothing
so they didn't fix the original game. They just brought out a new one. And then then they had to pay again for it, I presume.
They took down the original game and put it up again with a few fixes under a different name.
Under a different name, and I presume they charged it as well.
They charged for it.
That's pretty bad.
That's in ways worse than some of the business practices that went on for Colonial Marines.
So wait.
Well, I don't know. The controversy behind Colonial Marines is that Colonial Marines
traders and all.
They got Sega's money, which Sega gave them to make Colonial Marines, and then we used that money to make Borderlands.
There's a lot of specific controversies, like how the claims that they put the money towards Borderlands, the claims that there were about 12 different development houses behind it, all of the fake content that they used to showboat the game. There's a lot you can say for it, but at least they are trying to patch it in certain ways, as Arek said. But with the case with Rhino, Dinosaur Beatdown, whatever it's called, they've actually not tried to fix it. They've actually tried to sell it again under a different name. But that's criminal.
Question though, do you know the people who have already bought it under the first name, were they made to pay again if they wanted it? I didn't understand that, but Jesus Christ.
They took down the game on Steam.
Yeah.
They took it off of the ability to buy it, and then they put a different game, a quote-unquote different game up under the alias of a different name and sold it. And they actually advertised it as having loads of patches, how different things were working now, how things were improved. And literally nothing was improved. There was barely anything, and they just put it up there. They should. People really should, because Steam's actually pretty irresponsible for that. I've learned that through Total Biscuit, that Steam really doesn't check what it puts up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm surprised no one has sued them. I mean, there's been dicks, and then there's been bigger dicks, or scum.
Yeah. That's what I mean, like, Aliens, Colonial Marines, definitely, and I wouldn't deny it for a moment, has some bad business practices. But this one, I've got to say, does outdo it in a certain way, in that Colonial Marines is at least patching itself.
And hasn't charged for them patches.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, hey, we've just remastered the whole of Aliens. Come buy it again for £35.
I wonder how many people would. Probably the Aliens fans.
Yeah.
There's a lot to fix in that game. Like, I believe one of the major complaints about the game is the fact that it takes the Alien franchise and slaps you in the face with it. Like, they brought back a character who died in one of the films.
That's true. That is actually true.
They didn't really want to go with the general Aliens feel. Like, apparently you don't actually play against the aliens that much in that game as well, so they don't really make a great alien story out of it.
No, most of the time.
And a patch isn't going to fix that. A patch isn't going to fix that.
No. I'm only saying it as an at least, literally, regardless of how much they patch it, it is still going to be, at base, a pretty weak game.
Give him a new face.
Say again?
Give the guy who came back a new face and a new name. I don't know.
Couldn't hear that, sorry.
Give him a new face and a new name.
Oh, I see. No, it was literally the same character.
Yeah.
No, they should do that. Just for shits and giggles. Hey, okay, maybe you're dead, so here's a new character. That is just a new face on the one that was meant to be dead.
That you could patch in all fairness, but then you need to take out his dialogue.
Yeah.
He actually...
It'd be
It's
more
funny.
hassle.
Hannah told me about this, which was pretty funny. He was someone from the films, of course. They got the exact same voice actor back and everything, and he gave a really weak voice acting performance in the game. Like he sounded really bored and completely heartbroken while he was doing it.
Well, you can just imagine. It's just like, we're made to do this shit when I've just died. Really? Really?
Yeah.
Meant to be dead.
I thought I was free of this franchise.
You've just shit on my
Exactly.
character.
Well, maybe not that, but that's why I think he was so. Oh, I've not heard him myself, but I'll take Hannah's word for it because she's a big Aliens fan.
All right, we should move on to the next bit of news that I've got.
Sure. Just give me one moment. I'm going to turn the light on. It's a bit dark in here.
Alrighty. Ed Boon, creator of Mortal Kombat and Injustice: God Amongst Men, has created a unofficial hypothetical DLC poll for DLC characters.
An unofficial.
Hey, wait, repeat that. What?
A unofficial
Hypothetical.
DLC character poll for Injustice: God Amongst Men.
That's definitely an interesting title grabber.
God Amongst Men? Gods Amongst Us, sorry. I keep getting them mixed up. I don't know how.
That's
But, thing is, the initial poll, this is the thing, like, not only was there a poll, but there were characters leaked after this. Like, there was a big leak, but, it might not be true, but, well, the thing is, like, there was the first, DLC, there were 4 initial DLC characters, which, were Lobo, Batgirl, General Zod from Superman, and Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. These 4 characters were leaked, and, well, Lobo and Batgirl have already been announced, and they've already had trailers for them, so those 4 are seemingly true. We don't know if Zod and Scorpion are going to be for it yet, but we don't know. But there was a poll, which I'm going to go on to now. The poll was, there was a lot of these characters. There was Blue Beetle, Dr. Fate, Power Girl, Red Hood, Static Shock, Swamp Thing, and Zatanna. They were the characters. No, I don't really know any of them either. But thing is, there was going to be another character called Martian Manhunter, and he was excluded from the poll because
I've got to Google him right now.
Ed Boon said he will be number 1 on every poll. There's no point having it in because he'll just eat up all the votes. But then later,
I kind of want him. I don't even know who he is.
He looked very interesting.
Yeah. But the thing is, after this poll was made, these guys who hacked into the game to find the first 4, they found another 4 slots, but in the coding there were initials. There was initials, and he posted them on the forum. The initials were MM, implying that it was Martian Manhunter, PG, implying that it was Power Girl, RH, which implying it was Red Hood, and SZ, which nobody knows really for mobile side, so someone suggested Sub-Zero.
Oh, wow.
So not
Scorpion's in it.
Yeah, Scorpion's in it,
say.
and now, well, Scorpion might be in it. We're not exactly sure yet, but
It wouldn't surprise me if the developers behind Mortal Kombat tend to cross characters quite a bit.
Because Mortal Kombat itself is a pretty big fighting
It's a big name in the
It's a big name in the fighting series, and the fact that there was a DC versus Mortal Kombat once. It was a terrible game, but the idea behind it is still pretty good, and it's great that I think it's good that these characters can face DC characters once again. Obviously in a much better game now, but
Yeah.
and I'm going to be honest, I think they'd be a pretty good selling point because let's face it, we don't know who half of these characters are. Massive DC fans will, but not
And
the...
you don't see many of them around, if I'm honest.
Exactly. And
I've never, even Martian Manhunter, who looks interesting, I don't know any of them. I won't lie, I've heard of none of them.
I've heard of Static Shock. And I think that was
I've
because
heard
he
of
had...
Red Hood.
And I think I heard of Static Shock because he had his own TV show, a TV cartoon at one point. But that's all I know of this list. But there are massive DC fans out there, but there are probably more Mortal Kombat fans that play Injustice than DC fans. And obviously having Scorpion in it is going to be a massive selling point. It was like having Freddy Krueger in Mortal Kombat 9.
I did love that.
Having these one or two crossover characters, which, you know, made massive selling points after the game's release, that's what was the smartest move about it. Like, with Freddy Krueger being a DLC character, obviously brought in a lot more money than what it initially should be. I think it was smart that they did this crossover character after release, rather than just putting it before.
Mm-hmm. I can see why.
Yeah.
There already would have been enough hype based on the game in its initial launch, so
Yeah.
an extra DLC would have needed some independent hype, so and then a different character would have given it that.
Although this didn't always work, like Isaac for PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, there were more people complaining why he's in here than actual Dead Space fans saying, "Oh, this game's going to be great now that he's going to be in it."
Well, that's a specific issue in that Isaac isn't a PlayStation exclusive character, isn't it?
Exactly, and the fact that Crash Bandicoot's still not in it, when it's already been explained millions of times why he's not in there, which in itself is injustice.
It does upset me that.
Ooh, clever wordplay.
Oh, I'm on a roll tonight.
Oh, I caught that now. I didn't catch on to it at first.
Yeah, but that's the Injustice news. So there's going to be there might be more DLC characters than we think. Okay. Last bit of gaming news. God, we must be about more than an hour in now, and we haven't got to questions yet.
I told you I bloody well ran.
It's great though. That's the thing.
It's been all of us though as well. We've all practically ranted and just continued on about what we've been talking about anyway.
You've all been having conversations about specific stuff that you clearly have very well grounded opinions on.
Yeah, which is something we don't do, which we should do more.
It's definitely interesting to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
I can tell you that it's hard to say in insiders because I'm here with you now.
Yeah. There's one more bit of news that we have to announce, and I think I'm just going to leave it to you guys because I don't really care about Borderlands 2. I mean, I did like the first Borderlands, but I never got number 2, so you go ahead and announce it, do whatever.
Kreig's out! Yay!
Kreig. Sorry, just for my sake, what is it specifically called? Kree or Kreig?
Kreig.
Kreig, okay.
Yes, it's the German for war.
Right, Kritzkrieg, I'm familiar with that. Oh shit, I just said Kritzkrieg, it's Blitzkrieg. Kritzkrieg's a weapon from TF2, sorry.
Yeah.
So, Kreig, right.
Yeah, Kreig.
Now, you were
the psycho.
You were talking about him a bit before we actually started recording. He can throw dynamite while he's down, and what was the other one? What was his other ability?
His action power, action skill, like for the name, the siren can put the person in the ball.
Every character
his action skill is Buzz Axe Rampage. I'm on his wiki now. It's press shoots to swing the Buzz Axe and aim and shoot to throw his Buzz Axe, and it does like 500% more melee damage. And yeah, that's his action skill. He just goes on a rampage with it.
So it's a bit like Brick from Borderlands 1 in that he would just go around punching people nuts.
Yeah, but it's like Brick if Brick could turn his fists into Rayman fists.
Oh, I see. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So
So it actually detaches.
yeah, but no, he can throw his axe.
And it just goes along that sort of pattern of, it's ahead of him, but then it'll come back.
Yeah.
All right, that is interesting. I think I'd actually... Oh, do you need to buy him?
Yeah, he's 800 Microsoft points.
I might get that, 'cause that does
or
actually
whatever
sound
the
like...
PlayStation equivalent is. I don't know.
Yeah. That does sound like something I'd have fun playing with, but how much is 800 Microsofts again?
You can probably get it for £8 now because like
£8.
1200 is now £10, so I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get it for something like £8.
Yeah.
I'll consider that one, but I'm also quite well attached to... oh god, I say I'm attached to him. I've forgotten his name, the soldier. Axton?
Yeah.
Axton.
Axton. Good.
I
Good.
thought just before we go on to questions, I thought this would be pretty fun. Well, not exactly funny, but interesting to mention. League of Legends, just that thingy, is now apparently one of the most played games in the world because it has 70 million people playing it. It has 6 million deaths a day, which is 75 deaths a second, which is 42 babies born every second. So as you can imagine, there's more deaths in this game than babies born in a day. The most on the live stream of, this is not the actual Riot live stream because they get 200k, but for a personal person playing League of Legends, the most viewers they've ever had is 137,000. That is bigger than the country Liechtenstein.
Really?
Yeah. It has more than 1 billion hours played each month. That is it.
That's fine.
Okay, this now just to put this into comparison, it takes 6,000 hours to travel to the moon. With that many hours played each month, you could travel 82,000 times to the moon and back from the Earth to the moon and back. 82,000 times if with that amount of game time played in 1 month.
I'm sorry, who is it that says gamers aren't constructive? we outshine travel to the moon.
I was literally...
That's all I need to say.
Literally,
We could go to the moon, but we'll play League of Legends instead.
It's literally while you were just talking about that, I saw the video, so I thought it'd be interesting to watch, and I've just marked down all the stats, and I was like, oh, this will be the little nice facts to put into the podcast.
I'll tell you what is an incredible feat that happened recently. Do you guys know of a game developer called Gung Ho?
I've heard of them.
I know the name. I've heard of them
Yes.
recently. What have they actually...
What they've done is they've had this free iOS game called Puzzles and Dragons. Guess how much it makes a day?
Base...
3.76 million per day.
What, from in-app purchases?
For this free iOS game.
Oh,
In-app purchases, 3 million per day.
Oh,
I don't want to comment on that.
That's incredible. In fact, I believe there was a post on it saying that they're actually more profitable than Nintendo at the moment.
You can understand. You can understand, given that, why so many developers are switching to mobile devices. Really.
Yeah.
Because that's
mobile devices again, so big. Mobile games.
Yeah.
It's just.
They are literally.
You don't need to sit down in a room. You can literally play them anywhere. It's just.
Yeah.
Which
Gung Ho are actually 1.6 billion behind Activision, and that will probably change by the end of next week if it keeps up with this. Yeah.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
And the thing is, it's not available in the UK. This game.
So where's it?
It's only available in Japan and the US. It's not available in the UK.
Racist bastards.
Yeah, but if you think about it, imagine if it was in the UK.
Imagine it was available in every country.
That's the thing. They're two big companies for retail, but countries for retail. But that is still, even considering already just how much it's managing to make off its own back. It's only available in 2 countries.
Yeah, if they put it into every country, it'd probably make twice that, because between all the new countries, it'd probably double, basically, for, like, the rest of the world. So if you imagine them doing it for the whole world and then getting like 6 million a day, imagine that.
Exactly.
I don't want to imagine that.
That's.
Hey,
some
I'd rather
profit.
have these guys be more successful than the likes of EA and Activision at this point. So
It's just the thing is though. I reckon it's a good thing for the company, but what are they gonna do, if anything, to follow that with the money which they're getting?
they
I mean,
won't
they're getting-
need to at this rate.
Yeah, exactly.
They are
but
literally
they
diving into
could-
Scrooge McDuck money piles at this point. They don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
And that's I agree with you, Ro. I'd like to see those people do well. Of course, I wouldn't like to see any company. I wouldn't like to see any company fail unless they, like EA, were doing a lot of anti-consumer business practices. But when games that I think are so as games solid, like Dead Space, when Dead Space 3 is officially failed, that's kind of upsetting to see when a mobile game can do that well. Like what was it 3.7
Yeah,
a day?
roughly 3.7 million a day.
Oh,
In game purchases though.
I
That's
gathered
that's the thing.
microtransactions.
In just microtransactions in themselves, that's an incredible thing. If they didn't even charge for the actual game.
I've got to wonder exactly. Do you know exactly the specifics behind the game and the microtransactions?
No idea.
Most...
I would find out if it was available here.
I'm just gonna go on a wing and say it's probably like other iOS games where you have to buy in-game money or something to get further.
Probably that.
Or you can
I looked at the most bought downloadable content for that, and there's this thing called Magic Stones or Power Stones or something.
That's probably what it is. I mean,
Right.
you can either probably wait each day for a daily bonus for free, or you can buy more to get further, which is basically every iOS game does. Is you can wait a day for a bonus, or you can buy more. It's like it's somewhat ridiculous because I mean it did bring up that whole, speaking of iOS games, how good they're doing, but there's that all speculation of, for the likes of Apple, how like if you put in your passcode, like your code to download an app for, let's say you had a kid and you put in the code for him to download it, in that 15-minute period, like as if he, for that 15-minute period rather, of that kid playing the game, he can buy as much as he wants because they don't ask for the code again. And it's gotten to the point where some parents have got like £3,000 worth of bills in one night because in that 15 minutes, in 15 minutes, and you can't really blame the kid because this is like a 4 or 5-year-old that's just thinking, more money, not realizing that it's actually costing now. And it went over the news because there was loads of complaints of whether Apple could do anything to like insure it more, or whether they were at fault. I didn't hear about the outcome. I don't know whether there's been an outcome yet, but there was an investigation.
I think the outcome. I think what happened in the end. What Hannah told me this story, and if memory serves, she told me that all the paid microtransactions were actually revoked, and they all got their money back. And
they got their money back. They got their money back.
Right.
Yeah, they got their money back, I know that, but I mean, like, the outcome, whether they've had to change anything about the system, like, instead of making it 15 minutes, literally, every time you have to pay for an app, or pay for something, always bring up the code. They should do something like that, where you've got to physically re-enter the code when it involves money.
That's pretty obvious, in fairness.
I mean, I think it's very similar to a story I heard not long ago about this kid who got Xbox Live and his mum put her credit card details.
Wasn't it a dad, and then he bought loads of Ultimate Team stuff on FIFA?
No, I think it was his mum, and he racked up, I think, in 1 month, I think he racked up about 1,500 Microsoft's points, like,
and that was
money.
That was off that was off FIFA, if I remember rightly, the Ultimate Team.
Really? Yeah, and
Microsoft
turned around, unlike Apple, who, according, and I'm not sure if it's right, but refunded and revoked the things. Microsoft turned around and said, well, no, there's stuff on there to prevent your son from doing it. You should have read up and you should have done it. We're not refunding anything.
I somewhat see Microsoft's point in the sense that the kid was not young. The kid was, I think he was saying like 14 years old. And when you're 14, and you buy stuff on using the Xbox, it does come up, I think, like 3 times saying it will cost this much pounds, dollars, euros.
Yeah.
So that is a very different case.
So yeah, and the father, I think it was the father who was talking at the time, saying, he was going against it, was making it out like the kid wasn't at fault. I'm sorry, but the kid was, because he is of age. I'm sorry, but if he honestly believes the kid was unintentionally doing it without realizing he wasn't spending money, then I don't see how that's possible. Because as of 14 years old, it comes up 3 times saying, giving you the amount of money you're going to be charged.
And surely by 14 you can read.
Yeah, Apple doesn't. Yeah. Apple, it only comes up once, and then you put your code in, and you're done. Which, okay, if the code's already been in for that 15-minute period, someone can do it without realizing. Because it doesn't even come up saying how much it costs. It says in the game how much it costs, but they can easily mistake it, because that's in the game. But, like, when it comes up saying 3 times going, this is how much it's going to cost, there's no way a 14-year-old can just go, oh, wait, that isn't real money, that isn't real money. No. It's stupid to even think that. I mean, why the father even believed that, I don't know.
Maybe he was believing it, or maybe he just wanted to get the money back.
Yeah, well, he didn't get his money back, and that's his own fault.
That was down to them.
Microsoft, I'm not against Microsoft not giving the money back, because the kid was he was pretending he didn't know what he was doing.
I get that impression. I don't know for certain, but I get that impression.
Yeah,
definitely.
So do I.
Should we move on to questions?
Yep. Sure. I think it's about time.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Alright, Catbug, frequent member on here, but we've had to squeeze you two in this week, so fuck him. But Catbug asks, I know we've had the underrated games argument, but are there any games you feel are overrated, except COD?
Oh, where could I begin? I could. There was a thread like that on the forum, and yeah, I gave a bloody list. Of course I did. I do think lots of games are overrated.
Name one. Just name one for now.
Just one. Now, bear in mind, because we've already talked about it in the podcast, of course.
Oh, right.
Bear in mind that I did say I don't hate Call of Duty in that series. I don't hate any of the games in the series. I just think that,
except Call of Duty.
He said
I just think they're okay. It's like the Twilight effect, and I'm not comparing Call of Duty in terms of content to the quality of Twilight. Don't get me wrong.
Still a better love story. Sorry, had to
God.
Get
that in.
Don't worry, I'm pretty sure millions of 13-year-olds would have said the exact same thing.
Well, the reason I compare
you really expect millions of 13-year-olds to be listening to this?
No, we haven't even accumulated a total of 250 views of this podcast yet.
I've got the perfect advertising thing. We put Twilight, Team Jacob versus Team Edward, and see whether it gets any more views.
That'll rig him into a video game podcast.
I'm Team Neither.
And then every time, once we got the views, we rechanged the name back to just a normal podcast name and act like nothing happened.
I would disassociate myself with this if you did that, I'm afraid. Standards.
Fair enough.
The reason I compare it to Twilight, though.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say back to the question which you were doing.
Right. Well, okay. Well, Twilight, I don't think Call of Duty is terrible. I think Twilight is terrible. But what annoys me most with Twilight is I don't think it earns as much attention as it gets. And that's sort of the same thing with Call of Duty, where I don't hate it, but I hear people always going on about it's best game ever, it's so elite, you need so much skill. And it's just not the case, so it doesn't mean it.
Skill, you can play that game with your eyes closed.
Yeah, well maybe not with your eyes. I see what you mean.
Yeah,
but I agree.
Yeah, as 5-year-old could do good at that game.
It's an extreme point and click.
It's a linear first person. It's a casual shooter.
If people think that game's easy, they should play the likes of MOBA games on the computer. like Dota 2, League of Legends, because they're basically, for starters that haven't played any MOBA games, the amount of difficulty is to learn how to do it properly when you're going against good players is really hard. I mean, I've been playing it for about a month and I'm still shit at it. To the extent where I don't even want to play PvP by myself because I get my ass handed to me. And one thing I dislike, I know I'm going off subject, but with League of Legends is the community. They're assholes. They're flamers. Yeah. I mean, you could do one little thing wrong, one little thing, like you've got wards that show part of the map. And if you put that in, I think I've said this in the podcast before, but if you put it in the wrong area on the map, just one little mistake, the whole chat goes in uproar and reports you.
Yeah.
You can get reported for being underskilled, as in, oh, he's played shit, we're going to report him. Yet you might only be level 2, yet you get reported. Yeah. And you get banned. You can get banned for 3 days because you've been reported that many times for being shit. I mean, what sort of game does that? What sort of game says, we're gonna ban you because you're shit?
I have heard about that with LoL. And yeah, it's a pretty amateur setup in terms of the report system.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, okay, I'd see if it was like, if people reported you for something that didn't happen, but so many people reported you that you got banned. But the fact that they've actually put it in so you can get banned for being shit is...
That's not on.
That's wrong, yeah. Because that's gonna... It's unfair because, okay, it's already got its set community where everyone's all happy and good and all that, and then new people come in and you get the new ones that come in that are good. But when you get the ones that haven't played a battle arena game like that, come in and don't know what the hell they're doing, they get flamed, and then they get reported and they get banned. Like, how... It's not newbie friendly, basically.
Whereas Call of Duty...
Yeah, it's a very similar thing that it doesn't go to as extreme as getting banned for 3 days, but when, I'm sure Alex can relate to this, when you're playing World of Warcraft and you just start raiding, you've no idea what you're doing, and people will go, well, oh, get out of, or kick you from the raid because you just simply don't know what you're doing, but you need to play the raid to know what you're doing.
That's what
RuneScape
I hate that about raiding in WoW. Like, you only are allowed in this raid if you've done it before.
Yeah.
Like, everyone asks, oh, you have to have the achievement for doing it if you want to be in my group. It's like, no, I want to do this raid because I've never done it before. And I think I'm ready for it, and I want the gear. Like, no, we don't raid for gear. That's stupid. We raid for points for better gear. That's the sad thing about it. Warcraft is no longer for the actual experience, it's just for points. To get more points. To get more numbers, to make more points, to make more numbers. And then beat the final boss, and then wait for the next expansion pack, rinse and repeat.
Yeah. And segueing back to our question, World of Warcraft is my overrated game.
Oh, okay.
You love that game.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. I love World of Warcraft, my favourite MMO, but it's so overrated.
Yeah.
It's not as good as as quote unquote hype tells you, you know. It's just... I can understand that. It's very overrated, in my opinion.
It's still fun, though.
It's still very fun.
Just because it's overrated doesn't mean it's a bad game.
Yes, very much so.
I think actually there was a thread recently about Warcraft saying that one of the top rating guilds in the entire game have quit because I can't remember it exactly. I think it was the game's moving too fast and professional raiding groups are a very rare breed or something like that.
I can't quite remember.
I
read it too, though.
Yeah, I did read it, but I just can't really remember off the top of my head.
That's where one of my questions comes from, like, that I've asked for this podcast.
All right, we'll go back into it. We'll go back into that later then, because we really want to stay on topic. But my overrated game, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Like, I know we said Mario's a an annual game, but this was like the start of it, I believe. Like, I loved Super Mario Galaxy 1, just everything about it, the overall feel of it, the overall platforming, just the sheer entertainment out of it. But, Super Mario Galaxy 2 came out, it was either 1 or 2 years after that, and everyone was like, oh yeah, it's way better than this, it's way better than the first one, it's got this and this and this. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to play it right now. The problem is with it, like, it isn't a bad game, don't get me wrong, it isn't a bad game. It's got quality to it, but it's the exact same quality as before. Like, there were no new planets. Like, there were, a lot of the planets you find were essentially just the same concept as the last one. Like, I've made a thread about Has Mario gone stale, and one of the arguments I raised up in the difference between Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. But there was a planet in the Mario Galaxy 1 called the Freeze Flame Galaxy, which half the world was like on fire and there was lava everywhere. Then you hit a switch and it would just freeze over and become this like icy white Iceland or something, just full of snow and frost. Yeah, I thought that was a really great concept and everything. I went to Super Mario Galaxy 2, I found the exact same planet under a different name, just structured a bit differently.
Right.
It just didn't feel like the same amount of imagination went into that, and people keep saying that Mario Galaxy 2 is the better game. I really don't think so. It's really lacking the same imagination as I thought it was going to have.
I think Nintendo were very scared of iteration.
They're very scared of taking risks. That's the problem. Like, if you take a look at, say, the GameCube and see how many Nintendo exclusive franchises they still kept going on with it, like we had the likes of F-Zero, Star Fox, and on top of Mario, Legend of Zelda, Kirby, whatnot, you know, the regular stuff. The Wii took most of those franchises away because they weren't selling. That was the thing.
They did, actually.
Yeah, like, I love Star Fox and F-Zero. They're possibly my two favorite Nintendo franchises. They're both gone now. They don't care about them. They don't sell as much as Mario or Legend of Zelda or Pokemon. Which they're good franchises. Good, you know, I kind of prefer the other two more, though.
Quality doesn't correlate to popularity.
Exactly.
That's a shame, really.
Yeah. I think we've all said the overrated games now, I guess. Yeah.
I said Call of Duty. He said World of Warcraft. Eric, did you say one?
No, I haven't said one. I'm trying to think of one that's not Call of Duty, because even though I play Call of Duty a lot, there isn't many other games. I can't think of another game I play that is overrated.
Say Battlefield.
I was thinking of that, but then I thought that's a bit like, it's a shooter like COD, if you get what I mean. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that because they're both shooters, so it's basically the same genres and same reasons why they'd be overrated, because the hype is bigger than how good the actual game is. But go on then. I'll just say Borderlands. Borderlands? What? I'll say Battlefield 3. I'll just say Battlefield 3 because I was thinking of saying that.
Don't say Borderlands is overrated. Please, for the love of God, it will ruin this channel.
No. I accidentally said Borderlands instead of Battlefield. I can't say Borderlands is overrated. I love to, and I think the hype of it is just...
It's like that bit in Monty Python's The Holy Grail when they're on that bridge and he accidentally says the wrong colour. Like, he was asking, like, what is your name, what is your quest, what is your favourite colour? He's like, blue. Like, no, red. And then he gets killed. It's like that.
But Bioshock Infinite and Borderlands 2, if you say anything negative about those games, there is a high chance that you will be destroyed for it. It's ridiculous.
I can't say anything about Bioshock series, obviously, but Borderlands 2, I honestly think the hype for it is just because I went into it with high expectations and I was not disappointed, not one bit. I couldn't pick. Yeah, it did have its bad things about it, but everything I went into expecting happened and I enjoyed it. So the hype I had was just. It wasn't like, oh, they hyped me up and it was a disappointment. It was, yes, they hyped me up and it was a brilliant game, but I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10, obviously. I'd probably
No.
give it about, I'd give it around an 8.
I'd give it around.
Because obviously, like I said, it's had its glitches, it's had its problems, but I went into it expecting a lot, and it gave me what I expected. So I can't bash it, but it's definitely not overrated to me. Someone else might find it overrated because they dislike the game, but I personally couldn't say anything about Borderlands 2 being overrated, and I'm going to stop it there.
Yeah.
All right. You've not said what you thought was overrated. You agreed with what you thought was okay. That's fair enough. Well, that'll do it for you.
I said Battlefield 3.
To yourself.
Say again?
No, never mind.
Okay.
What's the most enjoyable thing you find within a game? That's still a question, by the way.
Who first?
You go first.
Probably solid mechanics. I'm a gamer who's impressed with mechanics in games and how the game is as a structure of a game. I can appreciate a good story, but overall, this is the same issue with Bioshock Infinite for me. That game had a great story, but mechanically it was lacking a bit. It wasn't as good as a game as it was a story. So I rated it down for that. I think most of the hype that went with Bioshock Infinite was because it had an amazing story, and people were getting really caught up in that.
I think I'm gonna have to agree completely with you there. If a game isn't good in its story, then it must have some pretty good gameplay to stand by, or if the gameplay itself isn't good, then it's gonna have a story to really put it all together.
Yeah, but, a story can carry a game.
Gameplay or story can balance a game. Can balance the game completely. Obviously I play a lot of fighting in arcade games, so story really is quite not even secondary, but the gameplay itself is so raw and interesting on its own, which that makes the game itself. But say games like, I don't know, Arthur's Wrath, which is solely story-based, and the gameplay itself is really limited, but the story is so bloody brilliant, it's what keeps the game together.
Exactly. But what would impress me personally with a game, the focus for me is always on mechanics. Nevertheless, though, as you say, there are games that are focused on the story, and I can still enjoy them, like Telltale's recent Walking Dead series.
Yeah.
That's a point-and-click adventure. It's obviously going to be weak mechanically, but the story was so overwhelmingly good, and you knew going into it that that's what you were going to get, that it was okay. It was actually a really good experience for me.
Yeah. Especially with Arthur's Wrath, like I said, because the story behind that is just brilliant, but the gameplay itself was, obviously it was very quick time event heavy, so a lot of people felt underwhelmed with the gameplay. But for me, as it's because the story balances the gameplay out so well, and the story was the thing that kept bringing me back to play it, despite the really underwhelming gameplay. It still was a very enjoyable product altogether.
That's a good point, really, because again, another game I was talking about, Far Cry Blood Dragon 3.
Yeah.
The main attraction to that's going to be the themes. It's going to be the 80s themes and all of that, the humour. I've been exposed to that now. So all I'm really getting now, because I wasted my time just doing garrisons, is the gameplay. It's the gameplay in I've watched Hannah on Far Cry 3 recently. She started that, and the gameplay in Far Cry 3 is really good. A lot of that is taken away in Blood Dragon, which is fair enough because it's only a standalone game. And all I'm really left with now is that I'm only left with that gameplay, and I've not got a lot to go back to until I decide to just go ahead and do the story.
Yeah.
As you say, I suppose that's something to consider. It's more than just an absolute. It's a balance of the story and the gameplay and other things.
Yeah. What do you two think? The most enjoyable thing you find within a game itself?
Yeah, I'm trying to... I'd probably say choices.
Choices?
I honestly like that about games now.
Fair enough, a lot of...
Choices, basically. That's... exploring as well. I like exploring, obviously. That'd be my second. But right now, I like games that give you a lot of choice. If a game has a lot of choice, I'll like it.
That's fair enough. A lot of games have been focusing on that more lately.
Even shooters.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, even
Mass Effect
shooters.
probably the series that made it mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, what we've been seeing more is in shooters like Black Ops 2, Spec Ops The Line, and all that. You've seen it in more of the generic shooters. You're now seeing choice options and different endings. So yeah, for me, it's choices.
I can understand that. That doesn't appeal to me much, but I can definitely understand why it appeals to you because you like seeing the outcome. It makes you feel like you've had an effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it gives it replay value. That's
true.
another thing it gives because you want to see what difference it makes if you pick other choices.
All right, that's fair enough. I can totally understand that. Hannah loves that about BioWare's RPGs because of all the impact many choices have. I mean, I personally get off-put by that. I'm very much a person who likes to have guarantees on things, and you don't necessarily get that in BioWare's games. You mainly get, like, oh my god, what's going to happen if I do this? Okay. And I personally don't enjoy that sort of experience. I like some solidity.
One game I'm going to mention as for choices is Catherine, because I haven't made it to the end, but apparently you can make the slightest... you got confession booths where you answer questions, or you can do something in the real life part of the game where you're actually a character, you're not doing any puzzles. And if you make one choice, it could change your ending permanently. Like apparently, if you take a look at one of Catherine's dirty photos without being in the bathroom in the pub, you don't get the good ending anymore. And I accidentally done that, so I don't think I'll get the good ending anymore.
You dirty.
Yeah, because it was a text message, and like you open it and it says image, and I was just, so I opened the image, but then I was like, and then he
don't try and justify yourself.
He looks at it for a second, and he flips it shut, and then I remember DSL saying, oh, if you open photos without it being in like a booth or bathroom, you won't get a good ending, and I didn't know what he meant because that scene hadn't happened. But as soon as he opened and saw the picture and flipped it shut, I was like, oh, that's what he meant, so I'm guessing now I won't get the good ending. But that game is very choice dependent. And another thing they also said about the game is how it's very realistic. You can relate to the character and what's happening, which is what makes it a solid game. Though it's one of them gems that don't really get played, but that's usual with Japanese games, to be honest.
Yeah. To be honest, as far as I know, I think that one did fairly well.
For a Japanese game, yeah, but oh my god, is it screwed up.
Oh, of course it is. I've seen those puzzle sequences.
Have you seen the bosses?
Yeah, I've had a good look at the gameplay of that, because when I heard about the game, I was very curious about how it actually played. Yeah, it was... I don't mean to be typical here, but I would staple that to a Japanese game.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I said, but I even said with Japanese standards, that is still really weird for bosses.
I think I probably know the one you mean.
Well,
but for obvious reasons, I'd rather not.
So far, it isn't really a spoiler, but so far I've got up to the big baby one that chases you and tries to stab you with a fork.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, apparently it gets much worse, so I'm still like, oh.
It does.
Yeah, like the first boss, you went into the first boss level, and it was basically a face on an arse with his legs and his arms and maybe the lower part of his body. His chest and his head were not there. And it was just like, what? That's when you knew the game was getting... That's when you knew the game was going to get screwed up.
Yeah. That's a new one for me. I've never heard of that design before.
Yeah.
But that's what appeals to you mostly in a game when there's a lot of choices.
Yeah, choices. So you have to really think about it. Think, oh wait, if I do that, it does. Apparently, Fallout does that a lot. If you make a choice, some people hate you and some people like you. I like that because you're thinking, oh wait, who do I want to like me and who do I want to hate me that I don't really care about? You've got to think about it. Because it might stop you doing stuff. But yeah,
that for me, that's just not for me. But I can definitely see why you'd like that. Right, who's next then? Ghosty or...
I've
Roll?
already said mine. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna agree with what you said, Inty. But
Yeah.
What
Oh,
about
okay.
you, Ghosty?
Do you not remember
You're
when
the
you were
last
little?
one, you're pressured.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. Yeah, all right, don't add more pressure, God.
I can't help it.
Do you not remember when you were a little kid playing early generation consoles, and you'd sit there till late night, long past when you've got to go to bed, because you just want to continue playing, and you get so immersed in a game, just that whole immersion in a game. Any game which can bring back that feeling for me has got me. I fall in love with. That's it for me. Any game that can completely immerse me in their world, I'm sold.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up again after His Wrath. It's one of the few games this generation where I'm just like, I've got to go to work in the morning, but I've only got one more chapter to go through. What do I do? I'm just gonna have to play the last chapter. This game is too good. Just to put down and say, like, it plays itself in episodes. In fact, it's very much like an anime series, that game. You probably really like it, Deus, actually. But, yeah. And it was just on the final chapter, and I thought, should I really go to bed now and, maybe not go to work completely tired? But I sacrificed it. It was a great ending. And then I fell asleep most of the time at work because of it.
Worthwhile?
And any game that can do that is just a brilliant game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've not had a game like that in a long time, so I can certainly sympathise with you, Ghosty.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've had that.
Yeah.
I think that probably comes from, though, as well, the age. The quality of the game as well count into it, but I imagine, as you said, it was when you were a kid when you mostly got that experience. I imagine that comes from just how captivated you were of it at the time.
Yeah. Just like, oh, I'm controlling the person on the screen. Yeah, it's... And then at the same time, the story, and you got your mind's also very young, and you've got very open mind, and it's just easy just to get lost in a world.
It's
One
not so
thing I'll
easy
recommend
in this day and age. It's not so easy this day and age in gaming anymore.
No.
There's not a perfect void for that anymore.
It's definitely hard. I've not seen it at all recently.
No, not at all.
But one thing I will recommend to have a look at, Ghosty, if you love immersion in a game. Are you okay? Do you like shooters?
Yeah, I'm good with shooters.
Someone I particularly trust for his opinion on games is called Tuck Biscuit, and he reviewed, well, not reviewed, he looked at a game recently called
Biscuit.
Metro Last Light, and one of the main things he hammered about that one was that it was really immersive. So you might want to give that one a look.
I will look into it.
No.
Yeah,
I'm definitely.
I might have to look at Total Biscuit's video for that, actually.
I'm going to be giving that one a look. I'll play myself and plan on doing a review for it because it does look pretty damn good.
All right. We should probably move on to the next question. We're almost 2 hours in, and we've got to the second question.
We can talk. This is good for a podcast.
This is possibly going to be the best podcast we've done.
Well, looking at it, I've clocked it in, and we're probably on about an hour 40 right now. Like, podcast recording time.
Alright,
we go?
Yeah.
Close enough.
Close enough. But, alright, next question also asked by Catbug. What would be the ultimate game, in your opinion? To your needs only, no one else's, just
To
you.
my needs, okay.
Yeah.
I think I've already given mine partially. Like, a game's got to be rich in lore, and the story has got to be so powerful, and it's got to be able to grab onto me and pull me into the world. That is quintessential for a game for me.
What game
I think the ultimate game, in my opinion, is a game which, while is not only a good game, but it would actually dispense food tablets for me, so I wouldn't actually have to go away from it. It would spawn a toilet if I need to go to the bathroom, and it would dispose of it itself somehow. That would be
Lovely.
the ultimate game. It'd be a game that it will serve you the way, it will get me up in the morning, like it will spray water over me. I'll have a shower when I get up in the morning.
I'm simple-minded. Go on.
It'll play itself when I'm sleeping, and it will forcibly make dreams of me playing it. So I don't ever turn away from it, really.
I think that's probably a dream a lot of people have with some games. Though.
As for me, I'm simple-minded when it comes to games, so I don't really have any needs. But I would love for a virtual reality game. I mean, I've watched an anime called Sword Art Online where the guy literally puts a mask over his head and you're in a virtual reality game. So imagine you're playing WoW, and when you've got this helmet over you, and you go into basically a sleep, but you're still awake in your own mind, and you basically become that in-game character, and all the world around you appears, and you're literally walking and fighting. You feel pain, which is probably a downside, but you feel all sorts, and it's basically a virtual reality, massive online, virtual reality MMO. Basically, I'd love to have one.
Oh. Microphone. Sorry.
Yeah, that would be the perfect game for me. Obviously, whether it happens, you would never know. But if it does, it'd happen ages away. But if
there's one problem with that though. There's one problem with that. What if the game was bad and then you were actually stuck in it yourself?
Oh, that's what the anime was based on. It's literally a guy who created that to lock people into the game. So if you died in the game, you died in real life, and to get out, they had to reach the 100th floor.
Oh, wow.
Which that would be a problem if someone could do that, because then you go into the game and you'd be stuck in there and you wouldn't want to die.
Yeah.
You'll have to tell me what that's called, that anime, because that's interested me. But
yeah, all I'm gonna say is though, it's only the first 12 episodes that is part of that game. After that, it goes into a different online game, which is all right, but still sort of not as good as the first half. But I'll talk about it some later on because this is a game.
This is a game.
Yeah.
So. Ghosty, your ultimate. Oh wait, no, you already said, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a game.
Oh yeah. Okay, so moving on to your questions there. What do we think on the new Pokemon shown in the new gameplay trailer? New Pokemon shown and the new gameplay trailer. As an avid fan of Pokemon, I am so hyped for this. It's so different in this generation compared to what I was like in the last generation. I absolutely hated everything that came out of the last generation. When it was in the stage we're in now, when it's revealing things, I hated a lot of designs, and I just had to kind of learn to like them. But I feel like with this generation, they're kind of toning it down a little bit with ideas that don't look nearly as ridiculous, and while still being unique and interesting, they're just not over the top and crazy about it, And I'm really liking these, nice, simple designs with everything now. And, the gameplay trailer that was shown, it's not, I don't think it's, 4-way buttons anymore. You don't only go up, down, left, and right. You can actually free roam everywhere now, I think.
I've not seen much on the gameplay for the new Pokemon game. I've not seen much on that at all. I know it's in 3D, which is definitely some innovation for Nintendo on a Pokemon game. Well, a handheld Pokemon game, as far as I know.
That, and it's good because they're going in 3D, because it's their first take away from the sprite games. They stopped using sprites, which, for fuck's sake, thank God they stopped using sprites. There's, again, last generation, their sprite work was not really that good. I didn't think their sprite work was that good. And, the way they try and mesh together 3D effects and sprite work at the same time, it just didn't...
I hate that. I've seen some of that in some of the previous games, some of the more recent games, and I agree with you. I hate the way they do it.
And especially in black and white, the first Pokemon games in the last generation, there were a lot of environments. The entire environments outside the battles were 3D, but you were still this sprite character. The camera just loves to zoom in and out, and your sprite becomes like a pixelated mess of garbage, and it really didn't work. It just really didn't work, and I'm so glad they're finally ditching it.
I would agree. I think this is probably the kid in me, the fact that I've been distant from Pokemon for a while, so the only real preferences I'd have would be the ones that were established when I was younger and I played it. But
Yeah.
I think for me, I'd probably just prefer them to go back to 2D. But that's not a fair opinion. That's probably,
Yeah.
as I say, just the opinions I made as a kid. I think it's good though that they are innovating, definitely away from what you were describing there, because I think that's bad. That was a bad quality.
It's weird with Pokemon. Like, it's a franchise that everyone loves, but like the majority of of the people that played the first games have moved on. But then again, it's a franchise that hasn't budged an inch. That's the thing. It's kept very true to itself. Like, it's always been the same game up to this point. It's the same formula up to this point. Now, they're probably going to do the whole 8 gym leader thing for Elite Four. There's going to be an evil team. They're still going to do that, but well, it'd be a pretty nice surprise if they didn't do that. But that would kind of take away the point of the main series game. But what I find particularly interesting with this is they're just trying to make things a lot more away from the other ones. Like obviously the 3D effects are new. You can, like in the trailer shown, you could actually ride Pokemon. There was new Pokemon called Go-Goat, which Go-Goat, which you could ride around the city in, which I don't know if that actually benefits to anything, but oh well. It's a cool element.
It's interesting. It's a new interesting mechanic.
Yeah, new interesting mechanic. And
Go-Goat reminds me though, we were talking about the designs. One thing that has bothered me with Pokemon lately is when you look at like the first 150, just as example, even like the basic ones like Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Pikachu, the basic ones, they're like designs, their forms, they had some structure behind them. When I'm looking at some of the more recent and newer Pokemon, you can actually sum it up. Go-Goat's not an example, but you can sum up most of the newer Pokemon's designs to like some circles and squares being put up together against each other. Like, one of the ones that I saw earlier, Arek mentioned it in the questions thread, so I had to look them up. One of them had like a circle for a head, some ovals for arms and legs, and then like a circle for a body with sort of rectangled into the neck. And that just bothers me because it's basic, it's clean, but it's.
I think I know what one you're on about. It's like that yellow lizard thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one. I don't like that one. It doesn't look good, but that's the only one of this new batch that I don't really like. That's the thing. Like, but that's already an impressive start of what Black and White did, which there was nothing there.
That's actually what reminded me of it. This weird Mewtwo that's in the batch.
Yeah.
If you look at his design compared to the original Mewtwo, the original Mewtwo had a lot more, his design was much more structured, there's a lot more thought out shape there. If you look at the new Mewtwo, a lot of it is actually more just straightforward circle and square in it.
Oh, no.
And I really have to ask now, what the hell is up with that Mewtwo? It's called Mewtwo, I'm confused.
Is it? What it is, what Pokemon they've started to do now, they started to do alternate forms rather than evolutions with some characters. Like, there's key differences between stuff like there was Diamond and Pearl, and then there was Platinum. There were like a bunch of Pokemon which got different forms instead of actual evolutions. So they're kind of evolutions in themselves, in a sense. Like there was this one legendary called Shaman, which is this grass legendary. But in Platinum, it got this Sky form, which made it a grass flying type, and it could do a lot more with it. So, and there's been a lot of those recently. So Mewtwo's getting this brand new one. It's not an evolution on top of Mewtwo. It's just a different form.
Okay.
So,
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, we just don't know what it's gonna do though. Is it gonna be faster but not as strong? Is it gonna be?
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm mainly curious about the lore behind that Mewtwo because I know the original Mewtwo was engineered by whoever was in charge of Team Rocket based on fossils.
It was Giovanni who found Mew, cloned Mew to make Mewtwo, and then I can't quite remember it. I think there's what I'm gonna guess is there's gonna be a new enemy team that's gonna do something to Mewtwo or something, or
maybe
if it finds an awakened form within itself. Because if you think about it, the Mewtwo we see in the first generation looks very you know, genetic and everything. But the new Mew looks a lot more organic, if anything.
I remember thinking that it looked more like a terrestrial, genuine life form.
Yeah, like you could tell that the first Mew was a creation in a sense, but now with this new Mew, it feels more like an actual creature that was, you know, like I said, it just felt a lot more organic.
Actually, the tagline for it is Mewtwo Awaken, so maybe it's one of the original creatures that they got the fossil of and genetically created the original Mewtwo from. Or when I say original Mewtwo, I mean the one from the first generation of Pokemon.
Yeah. There's actually, while we're going on a bit on Pokemon here, because I guess we're going to go on another tangent, but there's this weird theory that, you know the Pokemon Ditto?
Oh, yes.
Apparently Ditto is a failed, a failed clone of Mew.
Oh.
There's lots of evidence that lead up towards this theory that, Ditto is a failed clone of Mew. Like, there's, in Pokemon there are shiny sprites, which are alternate colors to Pokemon. There's only a small fraction of a chance that you'll actually encounter these shiny types. But, Mew and Ditto's shiny types are exactly the same color. Like, they're both this, like, light blue. That's one reason towards it. In that generation, Mew and Ditto are the only Pokemon that could learn the move, Transform, as well.
Okay.
And the also another evidence saying that Ditto was also a created Pokemon. It wasn't a natural one as well. So
I can definitely see,
yeah,
just in the nature of Ditto as well, in that it can change its shape. There's some very vague idea behind that it could be genetic experimentation gone wrong.
Yeah.
That's actually rather interesting. It's interesting for me because I've always, in terms of, I know writing isn't the focus of Pokemon, but I've always sort of looked down on it a little bit because of the quality of the writing. So whenever I hear these theories with depth behind them, behind Pokemon, things like, you know, like that with Ditto, and that it was a failed clone, for example, that does interest me.
There's a lot of Pokemon theories in the sense that there's probably too much to mention right now, but I'll probably tell you later after this. But there's plenty out there, which just blow your mind in a sense. But,
I've seen a few on Creepypasta.
Yeah, but they're creepypasta. These are actual theories behind them. But, anyway, sorry, we've ignored you two throughout the entire conversation.
I haven't played Pokemon since Red, and also I haven't seen the new trailer or gameplay, so I've got literally nothing to add to this. I'm sorry.
I could only really comment on the designs.
Yeah. One thing, we actually did talk about this before we got onto it, but the Pokemon Go-Goat, I mentioned what, because it looks like an evolved type, I was mentioning what a pre-evolved type was, and
what did you say, Vamoose?
Yeah, a clever little pun called Vamoose, because obviously Go-Goat means go and goat, which is not a very great name. But then I thought...
Oh, wow, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, Vamoose, obviously, Vamoose means go in Spanish, and then have a moose as part of it in end, so I thought that would be cute.
Wow. That's something. You're a clever man.
Yeah.
I actually quite like that idea.
Today. I'm good with puns, so...
It's funny, because maybe I didn't notice it, I don't know, but the original 150, I didn't notice many pun-based names, but as it's gone on, I've noticed a lot more.
Oh no, there were a fair amount of pun-based names in Generation 1, I think.
Go on. Because, as I say, maybe I just didn't notice them.
I think they were kind of puns, but they were very, very weak puns.
Yeah.
They're very weak.
Well, there's always some definition behind every Pokemon's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Diglett and Ponyta, like Diglett digs and Ponyta is a pony. It's very, very, very weak.
Yeah, like the original Legendary Birds trio, I like what they did with that.
I really like that, how it was Spanish numbers and then relevant.
Arctic Uno, Zapdos, Moltres.
How
and
they
then you
called how they
I
called
never knew
Sparrow
that.
Sparrow.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I just found something out about Pokemon. That's
Yes.
amazing. You learn something new every day.
Yeah. There's tons of Pokemon facts that I can just blow your mind with, and I'll get on. If you're really up for it, I can talk about it later. But
Sure.
Yeah,
yeah.
you could...
But after this though, because
Yeah.
we've gone on for far too long.
We've been on Pokemon for quite a long time.
We've been on this podcast for far too long. That's the thing. We would have been done an hour ago.
One. Okay, fine.
Oh, here he is.
Right. Can you
Can
hear?
you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. I've basically recorded up until the last question. As in when you literally, I went out of the chat when you were like, right, he's not here, let's go on to the next question. I got all prior to that recorded.
Okay.
And it's saved. So that's all fine.
Okay, good. Right. So I guess we'll just you're continuing the recording, I presume, then.
Yeah, I'm continuing now. Just talk about it and I'll edit it and cut it and put it in again like I did the last one.
Okay, so we'll just continue on to the last question. So right. So the next question is on the last question about opinion on the pro gaming world. I.e., do you think personally you've written this question poorly, Eric.
I'm sorry.
I.e., do you personally think it's fun to watch? So basically, what's our opinion on the pro gaming world? Is it fun to watch, or is it pointless that people get paid for it?
It is.
Go
It can be fun to watch. It just depends on the game that you're watching and what your interests are in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I used to watch like Halo 3 MLG tournaments.
Oh, please, quick, what does MLG stand for?
Major League
Major
Gaming.
League Gaming.
Ah, thank you. Okay, go on.
Okay, I used to watch those sort of tournaments, and I used to find them really fun to watch. But I know you, Raw, would much prefer to be watching like Street Fighter tournaments and things like that.
But,
It just depends on what you're watching and stuff like that.
Obviously, I'm a big fan of the fighting game community, and but the problem is these days, I discussed about the Daigo parry video.
Oh yeah.
That won't happen ever again. That's the thing. Like there are still really hyped up moments in the fighting game community, like obviously the Daigo parry video, on Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the bionic arm combo, which that was severely hyped because someone, I think it was Combo Fiend, that was it. This guy called Combo Fiend, he was a real underdog in this tournament, picking like good characters but not well-known characters. Like I believe the characters that were big at the time were stuff like Magneto and Akuma and stuff like that in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This guy Combo Fiend was using the likes of She-Hulk, Nathan Spencer from Bionic Commando, and Taskmaster. And he won with this character, and it was so close. Like and the finale was basically this one dude, this guy called Spencer, and nobody had really seen Spencer in a tournament play up to this point, and he won the tournament single-handedly. Well, literally single-handedly, because his entire arm is a bionicle arm, but whatever. It was just such a fun fight to watch, because you've got this underdog using underdog characters going up with the top tier characters and just winning, like it was nothing, essentially.
Yeah. That is a...
And
like, even if you don't appreciate gaming, that's
Yeah.
not so relevant to the gaming as it is to the fact of an underdog overcoming everything. That's personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's why I love the fighting game community in terms of tournaments. Just, it's such a big world out there and stuff.
For me... Oh, go on.
No, you go on, because I've probably talked way too much in this podcast.
This is gonna be like stereotypical of me because you're gonna be like, you wouldn't have guessed. When it comes to esports stuff, basically. When it comes to League of Legends, I mainly watch the pro gamings from Korea and China.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Simply because if I do watch the American and the European one, but the American and European one is basically, you know what's going on. You're like, oh, okay, they do the same over and over again, which is fun to watch, but you don't get surprised. When you watch the Asian ones in general, their play is so erratic, you will be shocked, because they don't play normally. They play erratic. They don't, like, the Americans and the Europeans play by strategies. Yeah, that always remain the same nearly. They might change a bit, but not to the extent where you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But the Koreans and the Chinese...
Yeah, I get you. So it's something like mind-blowing, essentially.
Yeah, the Koreans and Chinese... Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a smart strategy they're using, but, you know, it's the same strategy.
Exactly. It's just... They're playing by the rules, basically, that...
Yeah.
Like, in like, battle arena games, you've got the meta, which means basically how people think the game should be played, the best way to play the game. It's how people say, oh, this is probably going to be the best way. It might not be the best way, but it's the best way people have found out right now. Like in League of Legends, it's having one on the top lane, someone jungle, someone mid, someone bottom, and someone support. And it's just like, I was watching the Korean ones last week, and two good teams have made it into the quarterfinals, and one got beat 3-0, which is unheard of in like the normally really good teams get put. You expect like 3-1 or 3-2, but then in one of the teams, the other guy, because the map's assigned to see that, and he literally just asked to shoot his attack there, and he killed him. Just out of nowhere, he was just like, I'm going to take my chance, I'm going to shoot here. And the guy was on such low health and was recalling back to base so he could get all his health back. And the one guy was just like, oh, wait, I'm just going to pop a shot off there. And he killed him. And you don't see that in the American or the European.
You're breaking up again, Eric.
Because they play safe. In the Korean ones, a guy done it.
Alright, can you hear us?
Wait, am I breaking up?
Yeah,
breaking up again, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I've got an idea. Speak to us in the chat. Speak to us in the chat, and we'll exclaim it to the world. And I will in no way take advantage of that. Promise.
No, hopefully he won't disconnect again, but you never know. But
Never know.
but no, one thing is that stuff like what he said, like the same predictive style to the tournament, like I'll bring it up again, like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate Edition. There was a lot of talk because there's this one guy who found like a really good team, but it was quite well used. Like can't remember the team exactly, but everyone was like, oh god, here he comes. Is he gonna finally find a solution to all this? Is this gonna be like the next Daigo parry video or Combo Fiend's Bionic Arm video? Stuff like that. It's gonna be the next one of these, but turns out they were pot splitting before, and so they just went the entire rest of the final of the tournament just doing random battles. Like, just random pickings of characters. Not that they're good as the characters or not, just random. And everyone was disappointed in that. And, it could have been something way better. Even if the guy used a really good team and won, that still would have been a lot more authentic than... Oh, crap, he's gone again.
Yeah.
God.
Might be an idea if he's having some tech issues, or if you can record. Should we try to wrap this up?
Yeah, we might as well try and wrap it up now then. So,
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, no, this is actually, my recording's apparently still been going on.
Oh.
Alright,
Oh,
so
shit.
we managed to get that, alright then.
We can just do...
Someone message Eric real quick that we can actually save it because I've been recording this entire time.
Fantastic. I'll say in the chat box now.
Yeah, say in chat box I've been recording for now, so he can bugger off. But
News.
yeah, it's not an authentic feel anymore. Like and it's just wrong. I feel like I understand that you want a pot split and you want money, either if you want to lose, that's fine. Just don't take the entertainment away from anyone else.
Yeah.
Like you can play for the money if you really want to, but it's not going to have the same authentic feel anymore.
No.
Unless you truly keep to the rules, like you can only win the money if you come first or something, and no tangent, no making tangents away from what everyone's expecting you. It was such a disappointing tournament. Like everyone was hyping up for it to be something big, but no, nothing.
Arik said he's responded. I've said Raw's been recording the entire time. He's got it. He said good. I just need an ending. He said it isn't.
Yeah.
He said it isn't his connection to Skype. I don't know what it is then. Just yet. I'll keep you updated on that.
Right. Have we all got an opinion on the pro sports then?
Not really. I'm not really big in that sort of. I don't know too much about it to give an opinion on it.
Yeah.
I actually do have one opinion on it. I mentioned this to Lootosh because do you remember that thread? Of course you do, Rob, because we were talking about at the beginning about that World of Warcraft guild leaving.
Yeah.
Well, Lootosh said he thought that it was pretty sad that this is a full-time job and that you're not contributing to society. Where's the post? I said, considering there's a genuine industry set up around gaming now and that these competitions, especially in the case of StarCraft's esport, are legitimate scenes with sponsors, commentators, teams of players, genuine events put up for them, etc. It's literally no different at structure from something like a real-world sports tournament, and as such is a part of the entertainment industry. I think for what it is actually comparable to something like that. It's just as legitimate.
It's just as real as wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, you...
I crossed the line there.
Cheeky bugger. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
You're gonna cry.
It's not. The worst thing is, it's not my internet connection because the forum was loading perfectly fine, as you could see. I was talking perfectly fine in the forum. It's just for some reason, and it's not the first time. It's just Skype cancels out its own connection.
Oh.
So I'm gonna go cry.
It's a good thing I'm recording as well. So.
When have you been recording from?
When you first left. That's the thing.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So you'll be able to just mesh it together.
Oh, how loud was the voice when I was like going all in and out?
It wasn't necessarily loud. It was just
No, I mean, so it isn't really, so it won't cause problems for like that brief period for the podcast. That's what I was thinking.
Well, people will notice it, but I don't think anyone will like turn the YouTube page off or anything.
No, that's what I mean. As long as it isn't like really, really bad, annoying for like.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, as long as it isn't that, that's fine. Okay, continue talking what you're saying.
I think we're done.
Just talking about esports.
Yeah, we're pretty much done on the topic.
I'm just gonna peek in. When did I start breaking off? Because I think I want to finish when did I start breaking off? Just so I can finish what I was gonna say.
To be honest, you were mentioning something about League of Legends and how the Korean tournaments are way more interesting than the Eastern American ones.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that then. I think.
Yeah. All right, so we're finally done.
All right.
It's going to be one big old podcast, but I've had fun this week.
Yeah.
So
I've actually first time I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah. All right, I guess that's it then. So it's goodbye from me.
All right.
And it's goodbye from the rest of you.
Bye.
Oh, do I actually have to dignify them our hideous listeners with a goodbye?
Well, they're not that hideous.
I suppose. All right. Goodbye then.
Goodbye.
There. That's all you're getting.
Goodbye, people of Earth.
Goodbye.